Why don't we go to the town manager's report, and then we can hop into the meeting minutes and the rest of the items. I'll give you a chance to get started.
You got it. All right, so I want to just start with a budget update. As the board is well aware, the town's $1 million contribution to the middle school debt will come online in its entirety in fiscal year 26, which is the budget we're preparing. I've been working with our finance director to track our progress toward realizing that full new growth since we closed the last budget cycle. As of today, it does not look like we're on track to reach the full new growth from Toll Brothers this fiscal year. There's a variety of factors that play into that. The good news is the $1 million that we assumed would be the new growth came from estimates that we did back in 2020 and 2021. Since then, the value of the units have gone up. So even though we won't have all of those buildings on our new growth for June 30th of this coming calendar year, 2025, the increase in value is helping us get there. So with that said, we are on track to meet our contribution as planned. Our latest budget scenario assumes largely level funded, not level service. Obviously, level service, the money goes up. Right now, we're assuming a worst case scenario, and so just level funding. In expense lines, except for major areas such as trash and health insurance, our scenario that we're working off right now assumes a worst case scenario for trash. For those that aren't familiar, our trash contract goes up either the consumer price index or a maximum of 5%. In September of this year, the CPI for that was 4.8%. So we're assuming a worst case scenario, hoping that by the time our contract comes up for renewal, it's not as bad. Same thing in health insurance. Every year we get alarming news from the insurance company that it's going to go up dramatically. We've done well in the last couple of years, but everybody is seeing these spikes, and I expect that fiscal 26 will be a bigger increase than fiscal 25. That said, we're still assuming a worst case scenario. Fortunately, all but one of our general government collective bargaining agreements have already been finalized, and we know that the fiscal year 26 budget increase for the school department will be 2.7% over last year. So there's not really a lot of remaining unknown variables, which has really helped us project. That said, in order to level fund expenses and meet that contribution, based on our early conservative projections for state aid and revenue, we're looking at falling short by just about $100,000. However, remember that year over year, we've increased our general fund contributions to the road program. Last year, we funded that at $300,000. With the new monies totaling more than $250,000 from the Fair Share Amendment, which was money that we didn't have until last year, as well as the certainty that a second marijuana establishment will come online in fiscal 26, we are fully confident that we would be able to reduce the general fund contribution, but increase the money that's going into the road program from those two different sources, thus meaning that there wouldn't really be an impact on what we're planning. I've had a couple meetings now with our finance director and our DPW superintendent, and based on what is already planned for fiscal 26, this strategy won't impact what we are already planned and designed to do. So that's positive. To be clear, I'm not saying today that we're going to need to cut our general fund contribution. The budget that we're working off of includes the $300,000, but I just want to set expectations early on. Department budget requests are due on December 10th, and following that, we'll be meeting with every department to make sure that we're fully, identifying areas we can save money, not just because it's a good practice, but because this will be a bit of a tougher year. There are some really positive things on the horizon. I expect that fiscal years 27 and 28 will be much better in the area of new growth because I expect at least one of the new warehouse buildings that's part of that Mass Works project to come online. And I'm hoping any day now we see an application for the continuing care and assisted living facility that was the zoning amendment that was changed at the last town meeting. So this is really not a bad situation to be in. And obviously, as we get all of our budget requests in on the 10th, in my town manager report for December 16th, I can provide a little bit more. But I know that this is something that this board has been adamant on us maintaining our commitment on, and certainly we've been focusing on it as well. So I wanted to share what is really, at the end of the day, a positive update on the budget front. My office is aware that there were substantial traffic and road safety issues that occurred this weekend at Nature's Remedy. The Tyngsborough Police Department and our Department of Public Works were dispatched at different times to help address these issues, and I know that we had details for much of that time. I'm meeting tomorrow morning with the police department to identify the steps moving forward, and we'll convene a meeting with Nature's Remedy in short order to discuss them with Nature's Remedy. Depending on those conversations, it may be wise to invite Nature's Remedy in for a hearing on those matters. If we go that route, we have to give them a certain amount of time notice, so you'd likely be looking at your first January meeting. But in the meantime, I'll provide an update to this board to let you know the steps that we're taking. Residents, if they encounter traffic issues or other situations over there, should report them to the police department. But certainly if they're non-emergent, they can let our office know so that we can track them and adequately take care of these expenses. All the details that we had to issue will be paid for by Nature's Remedy. We prepared an invoice for them for the call out of our Department of Public Works. So fortunately, they'll be on the hook financially as allowable under the Cannabis Control Commission's regulations and our host community agreement. If you've driven down Kendall Road recently, you've probably seen that what will soon be Commerce Way has been cleared. This new road will provide access to the town's DPW yard, the MassDOT Park and Ride, and a new warehouse development on the Brock's property directly behind the Park and Ride. As a reminder, this project is being supported by a $2 million Mass Works grant, and all of the work that exceeds that $2 million threshold is being paid for by the private developer. Last year, the town joined the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments Regional Sealer of Weights and Measures program. The program saw turnover this year, and as a result, NMCOG has discontinued it. Fortunately, we were able to quickly pivot and have since contracted with the Department of Standards with the state to provide those services here in Tyngsborough. They'll begin conducting our annual weight inspections in January and will be available to assist new businesses and investigate complaints against businesses in Tyngsborough. The fee that they're going to charge us is actually less than what NMCOG was charging us, so our rates are still on par and it's not going to cost the town anything. Work to identify an appropriate parcel for a new fire and police station is ongoing. The group designated to identify the best parcel for each is meeting tomorrow to review the existing options. Using feedback from the final report of the Public Safety Building Study Committee and including other lots that we think would work, we've originally identified 13 parcels for consideration. After a preliminary review of various factors, I'm recommending that 5 of those parcels advance for further consideration, and we have a list of to-do items on all of those parcels to make sure that they work. 2 of the parcels are municipally owned, and each one of those, I believe, is a uniquely suitable site for either a police or a fire station. So we very well could be looking at land that wouldn't cost us anything to acquire. So tomorrow we'll begin our deep dive, and I've already talked about these efforts with LaValle Brenzinger, who did the last report on these buildings, and they're ready to help us do some high-level test designs just to make sure that, turning radius is okay and there's no other environmental or zoning considerations that we have to make. The Tyngsborough Public Library will host their annual holiday party on Wednesday, December 4th from 4 to 7 here in the library. All are welcome to attend. The Festival of Trees kicked off this weekend and as always has proven to be bigger and better than prior years. The festivities continue this weekend for its final weekend of the year. Residents should visit tyngsborough.gov for the full schedule. And as always, just a big shout out to our rec director, Allison Page, and the entire committee and group of volunteers who put so much work into making this program a success every year. And also the local businesses that donate trees. All of our town departments have trees over there, so cast your vote because the highway department typically wins, and they're in a close battle with the inspectional services folks. So there's a lot at stake here. The town will release a request for proposals on Wednesday, December 11th for lease agreements to install solar on the town hall and the Center for Active Living. The town is seeking cash lease agreements whereby the proposer would install and maintain a solar array at their own expense on each building and pay a monthly lease to the town. We had explored a system whereby the town would generate electricity credits, but as you all are probably aware, we're part of the Charles George landfill solar farm, and we are contractually obligated to buy X number of credits from them, so I didn't feel like it was wise for us to take on an additional burden of credits. We'll take the money instead. After meeting with various solar vendors, it was determined that the cash lease arrangement was most advantageous based on our situation. Proposals will be due on January 15th, and we'll award a contract to the firm that offers the most advantageous lease and has the experience providing these types of arrays. There is a very slight possibility that a recent change in law would require a town meeting would approve this in May. If that's the case, the contract will be effective July 1st. And that's largely because we're looking at a 20-year lease. The solar companies won't invest money for just a 5-year lease. And just a reminder that the town will once again participate in Wreaths Across America thanks to the work of Pam Russell and the Tyngsborough Firefighters Association. The event will take place on December 14th beginning at 11 a.m. in the town center. You can learn more and sign up to volunteer and sponsor a wreath by visiting the link in the town manager's report. It's also a news story on tyngsborough.gov because that is a long link for me to read for everyone. And that's all I've got, Mr. Chair.
You don't want to go through that full link? Come on.
I think people will lose it after I say www.
Okay, Kat?
The town is formally seeking feedback on how we should use the opioid settlement funds that the town was awarded as part of the national lawsuit against opioid manufacturers and distributors. Residents can find a link to the survey and more information by visiting tyngsborough.ma.gov. The survey is live, that's shorter than yours.
Yes.
The survey is live now and will run until the end of January. A big thanks to resident Patrick Latham, who assisted several residents again this fall, transporting their fallen leaves to the yard waste site. As a reminder, if residents have trouble transporting their yard waste to the site off Bryant Lane, please contact the town manager's office so we can coordinate with one of our many amazing volunteers. Currently, we plan to keep the site open until probably the first snowfall, would you say? And lastly, the town will release an invitation for bid on Wednesday, December 4th for cleaning services at the Old Town Hall and First Parish Meeting House. The bids will be due on December 18th. And that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you.